Hello and welcome back to vpod.ai. I'm Mike and I'm really glad to be here with you today.
And I'm Susan. Thanks for having me.
You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today.
All right.
So let's get right into it. Today, we are unpacking something that feels, almost boring on the surface. It's on every dining table. It's in your pantry. It's probably in your glove box from some leftover fast food run. We're talking about sodium.
Right.
And I know the common wisdom is, just put down the salt shaker, right? You're fine. But looking at the research, that seems like a huge oversimplification.
Oh, it is. It really is. I mean, if it were just about the shaker, just the salt we consciously add, we would not be seeing the health statistics we're seeing.
Right.
The reality is a lot more complex and, frankly, a little more alarming. We need to stop thinking of it as just a flavor and start thinking of it as a mechanic.
A mechanic. I like that.
A silent mechanic in your body that is fundamentally changing how your cardiovascular system works.
That sounds a bit ominous, like someone messing with the brakes while you're driving.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about feeling a bit bloated after some chips. We mean actual structural damage.
Absolutely. The data suggests high sodium intake can nearly double the risk of heart failure.
Double. Wow. That is a staggering number.
It is.
Usually you hear, a 10% increase, 20%, but double. That makes you sit up and pay attention. So before we get into the where, and this list is wild, let's talk about the why. What is actually happening inside my body when I eat something salty?
Okay, so this is sort of the biological aha moment. It's a chain reaction, and it all starts with just basic osmosis.
Right.
When you eat a lot of salt, your bloodstream gets, more concentrated with sodium. So your body, to try and find a balance, holds onto water to dilute it.
So step one is just water retention.
Right, but that extra water has to go somewhere. It goes into your blood vessels, and that increases the total volume of fluid that's circulating in your system.
So you're kind of overfilling the balloon.
Precisely. Or think of a garden hose. You turn it on full blast, but the hose can't get any wider.
Okay, yeah.
That extra fluid puts immense physical pressure on your blood vessel walls, and that's literally what high blood pressure is. It's physical pressure pushing out.
And I'm guessing our blood vessels don't really love being stretched out like that 24/7.
They do not. No, they're meant to be flexible, but under that constant pressure, they get stiff and thick. And over time, that pressure actually damages the inner lining of the arteries.
And that's where the real trouble starts.
That's where the blockages start to form.
Yeah.
And that is the road to cardiovascular disease.
It's just physics, really. It's not some vague, it's bad for you idea. It's hydraulics.
Exactly. And you mentioned a study. There was one that tracked this for 12 years.
12 years. Wow.
And it found that this exact mechanism, high sodium, high blood pressure, could nearly double the risk of heart failure over that time. It really connects the dots.
Okay, so the stakes are clear, and they are very high. So let's talk about that consumption gap. How much is actually too much?
Well, the official dietary guidelines for Americans, the 2015-2020 edition, set the modern baseline. It's pretty clear. A healthy adult should aim for less than 2,300 milligrams per day.
2,300. And what does that actually look like? Like in my kitchen?
It's about 1 teaspoon.
One teaspoon for the entire day.
For everything.
Yeah.
Salt in your bread, your cheese, your sauce, and the little bit you might shake on top. Everything.
That seems incredibly low. I mean, just cooking dinner. You could use a quarter of that without even thinking. So how are we doing? Are we close?
We aren't even in the same ballpark. We are not even playing the same sport. The average American consumes almost 4,000 milligrams a day.
Whoa. Wait. 4,000? That is nearly double the limit.
It is. And here's the really scary part. Most people eating that 4,000 milligrams think they're eating pretty healthy.
Right. They're not just, eating fast food for every meal.
No, they're just eating normal, modern, standard food.
That's the disconnect. Because if I'm not salting my food and I'm avoiding the obvious junk, but I'm still hitting 4,000 milligrams, it feels like we're being sabotaged. Where is it all coming from?
Well, in a way, we are. Sodium is a master of disguise. It masquerades in foods that don't even taste salty. In fact, it's often hiding in sweet foods.
Really? Give me an example of that.
Okay, breakfast. You grab a bowl of cereal. You're probably thinking about the sugar, right?
Sure.
But you're probably not checking for sodium. Some popular breakfast cereals can have up to 300 milligrams per serving.
300?
Yeah.
In a bowl of cereal. That's more than 10% of your daily limit before you've even had coffee. But it doesn't taste salty.
Exactly. It's there to make the sugar pop, to add complexity. Without it, the cereal would just taste flat.
Okay, so I skip the cereal. I have some toast instead. I'm being healthy.
You're walking right into another trap. Bread is one of the top sources of sodium in our diet.
Get out.
Just one single innocuous slice of bread can top off at 230 milligrams.
Oh, wait, so a sandwich.
Mhm.
2 slices of bread. That's almost 500 milligrams.
Almost 500, and that's before you've put anything on it. No meat, no cheese, no mustard, nothing.
That's insane. Why is it even in there?
It's chemistry. It controls the yeast, it strengthens the gluten, it gives bread that chewiness, and of course it's a preservative, so it's not just for flavor.
So even if you're a really conscious eater, you can hit that limit so fast without realizing it.
It adds up. It's cumulative. That's the key. It's a steady drip all day long. And the industry knows this. They know people are trying to be healthier, so there's a lot of smoke and mirrors on the packaging.
Yes. The marketing. I feel like I see low sodium or heart healthy on everything now. Does that actually mean anything?
You have to be so careful. Food labels can be really manipulative.
Like making the serving size ridiculously small.
Exactly that. Or using legally vague terms. There was a big case back in 2013 with Campbell's Soup. They were sued for deceptive marketing.
What were they doing?
They were labeling products as lower sodium, but they weren't actually low sodium by strict standards.
So lower just meant lower than the original, which was already off the charts.
Precisely. You know, if the original has 800 milligrams and the new one has 600, they can slap a 25% less sodium sticker on it. But 600 milligrams for a cup of soup is still a massive amount.
And it gives you this false sense of security. You think you're making the right choice.
You do. But you're still flooding your system.
It feels like food just tastes saltier than it used to. Is that just me getting old? Is it nostalgia?
It is definitely not nostalgia. It's something researchers call the salt creep.
The salt creep. I like that. So food has actually gotten saltier.
Objectively, yes. We have hard numbers on this. Let's take a serving of French fries from Hardee's.
Okay.
If you compare the sodium in a serving of their fries from 2005 to the same serving 13 years later, the difference is just staggering.
I'm almost afraid to ask. How much did it go up?
The newer fries had 3 times as much sodium.
3 times?
3 times.
So if I ate those fries back then, and I ate them today, I'm getting a triple dose of salt for the same food.
Yes. And here is the really crazy part of the salt creep.
What's that?
You probably wouldn't even notice a massive difference in taste.
How is that possible? If I tripled the salt in my own cooking, it would be inedible.
Because our palates adapt. Your baseline shifts. The industry just inches the salt levels up year after year, and our taste buds just follow along. It's a slow conditioning process.
That is actually terrifying.
Yeah.
It's the boiling the frog analogy. We're the frog, and the water's just getting saltier and saltier.
It's a perfect analogy, and it shows why you just can't trust your taste buds anymore. Your baseline has been artificially inflated for decades.
So we can't trust the shaker, we can't trust our own taste, and we can't trust the front of the box.
Right. And we haven't even talked about genetics yet.
Oh, man. Of course. It's not an even playing field, is it?
Not at all. Many people have a genetic predisposition to high blood pressure. They're what we call salt sensitive.
And what does that mean for them?
It means their body just reacts more strongly. Their kidneys might not get rid of sodium as efficiently. So for them, a high sodium diet isn't just unhealthy, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire.
So 2 people could eat the exact same meal, and one person's arteries are taking a much bigger hit.
A much bigger hit, yes. So for those people, this isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely vital.
Okay, let's get practical. Let's arm the listener. If I'm walking through the grocery store today, what are the other hidden suspects on my watch list?
Okay, let's start with salad dressings. You think you're eating a healthy salad, but then you pour on a dressing that's just loaded with sodium to preserve it and make it taste punchy.
Right. Liquid salt on your lettuce. What else?
Tomato products. Ketchup, spaghetti sauce. Tomatoes are acidic, so to balance that out, manufacturers add a ton of salt.
I never would have thought of that. The acid masks it.
Then there's the obvious stuff, like pretzels and crackers. But let's go back to the bakery. Bagels.
Bagels specifically.
They're incredibly dense. They need a lot of salt for texture and flavor. One big bagel can have 500 or 600 milligrams just for the dough.
Wow. And then you have deli meats turkey, ham all preserved with salt.
Right, and canned soups, of course. And restaurant meals are just, it's a total free-for-all. One meal out can easily hit that 4,000 milligram mark.
In one sitting.
In one meal.
Okay, so this feels a bit overwhelming. If it's everywhere, what do we actually do?
You take action by becoming aware. It's not about zero salt. We need some salt. It's about moderation. We know for a fact that moderating salt reduces blood pressure.
So the damage isn't permanent. You can give your garden hose a break.
It absolutely helps. Reducing sodium eases that pressure. But, and this is important, if you're going to make a major change or if you have family history of heart issues, you need to talk to a doctor first.
Right, don't just wing it.
Please don't. Consult a healthcare provider. They can guide you. And there's a great resource we came across.
What's that?
The Cardiovascular Group, or CVG. Their website is www.cvgcares.com.
cvgcares.com.
Yes. It's a great place to find cardiologists who really get this stuff and can help guide a heart-healthy transition.
That's a great resource, because it really does come down to being your own detective, doesn't it?
That is the big takeaway. Read the labels. Turn the package over. The difference between 2,300 and 4,000 milligrams isn't the shaker, it's the invisible salt in bread, cereal, and sauces.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. I am definitely going to look my lunch differently today.
It changes how you see things, doesn't it?
It really does. Before we go, I want to leave everyone with that thought from earlier, because it's still just spinning in my head.
Hard-use fries.
Yeah. If fries are 3 times saltier now than they were in 2005, and we barely even noticed, it just raises this huge question. Have our palates been engineered to demand this?
And, maybe more importantly, can we engineer them back down? Can we retrain our taste buds to appreciate the flavors of 2005 again?
I think we can. That's the challenge.
Well, science says we can. It just takes a little time and patience.
Well, thank you so much for breaking this all down for us. This was fantastic.
My pleasure. It was great to be here.
And thank you for listening. Stay curious, read your labels, and we'll see you on the next one.